Redeemed child, before you take another step in your journey, I need you to understand something important. The fear you have been carrying, the heavy burden on your heart, the thoughts that keep asking whether I still love you after everything that has happened. I do not want you to keep carrying those things any longer. Instead, I want to give you the very thing you have been most afraid to receive. It is not because you fear failure or difficult times, but because deep inside your heart there is still a place that struggles to believe you deserve something so wonderful. What I want to give you is more than a blessing. I want to restore your life to you. Not a different life where you must become someone else first. Not a life that begins only after you fix yourself, understand everything, or finally solve the problem that has remained for so long. I want to restore your life to you right now. Right here in the middle of the confusion, the uncertainty, and the many questions that still have no answers. You have lived through the results of your decisions, painful seasons, and deep wounds that have left lasting marks. Some of those scars came from your own choices. Others were left by people who should have loved you better, by situations that seemed determined to break you, and by losses that arrived without warning or explanation. Somewhere in the middle of those scars, you began believing a story about yourself. At first, the story was quiet. It even sounded reasonable and gentle because it seemed to protect you from hoping again and facing another disappointment. It whispered, "This is who you are now. This is all you deserve. People like you do not get another chance. Those who fail the way you failed never truly begin again." Slowly the story grew stronger. You did not realize how much power it had gained until it no longer felt like a story but became what you believed was the truth. It stopped sounding like something you were telling yourself and started feeling like reality, supported by everything you had experienced. That is why I am speaking to you now, because that story is a lie. I will not allow that lie to keep shaping your life when the truth about who I am and who you are in me is far greater, far more real, and far more powerful than anything your past has tried to convince you of. This is the truth you need to hear. Not as another religious saying that sits beside other encouraging words you have collected through the years. Not as something that feels comforting for a moment and is forgotten when life becomes difficult again. I want you to receive these words as the deepest and strongest truth about your entire life. Here it is. I have never changed my mind about you. Not even in your darkest moment, not when you felt the most ashamed, not when you walked away from me and convinced yourself that I would never notice, that I would not care, or that I had already left you behind and chosen someone more faithful. I noticed. I cared. I remained with you. I never stopped loving you for a single breath or one heartbeat. Not in the darkest nights when you believed I had disappeared, and not in the quiet moments when it seemed my voice had gone completely silent. My love for you is not based on your success, and your failures cannot take it away. It is not something you earn by doing good or lose by making mistakes. My love is the foundation beneath everything. It is holding you up even now, even when you cannot feel it, even when you struggle to believe it is there, even when everything around you seems to say it never existed. The love I have for you is not like the love people give each other. Human love can be real and precious, but it is limited. It grows tired. It depends on circumstances, and sometimes it fades away. My love is not simply human love made greater. It is completely different from anything you have ever known through people. When someone who loves you reaches the end of their strength and cannot keep giving without receiving something in return, that is simply the limit of human love. It has boundaries because people themselves have limits, but I have no limit. What I am never runs dry. Everything I give comes from a source that can never be emptied. My love for you has always been given without limits, without conditions, and without the smallest chance of ever running out. I gave it to you even before you were born, and it reaches into every part of your life. Let me explain it more clearly. My love for you did not begin the first time you prayed. It did not start when you first believed, when you first came to me, when you first showed faith, or when you first did what was right. My love for you existed before your first breath, before your body was formed, in that eternal place where I exist beyond time itself. Brothers and sisters, YouTube has demonetized this channel. Every video is now made at our own cost with zero ad revenue. Every script, edit, and upload is done by a real team serving this ministry with their time and skills, not for a paycheck, but out of love for God and for you. Without your support, continuing this work becomes incredibly difficult. If this ministry has brought value to your life, now is your chance to invest back and help keep the Word of God reaching the world. If these messages have ever moved you or strengthened your faith, please support us on Ko-Fi. Even a small gift goes a long way. The link is pinned in the comments. If you are watching on TV, open your phone camera and scan the QR code on screen. It takes you straight to our support page. Pray over it, and if God leads you, give. Thank you. Before time even began, I'd already knew you. Not a distant or general idea of you, but the real you. I knew your voice, your laughter, the way your mind works, the unique dreams you carry, the deepest fears hidden inside you, the special way you were created to love, and the exact shape of the wound that has been the hardest for you to heal. I knew every part of you, and I loved every part of you before any of it came into existence, before you yourself existed to receive that love. My decision to love you was made long before any circumstance you now believe should decide whether you deserve to be loved. It means that everything you have done since then, every failure, every wrong path, every time you turned away from what you believed was right, every moment you chose your own way instead of what I asked, every time you disappointed someone, every promise you made but could not keep, every hidden thing you feel ashamed of, none of it has the power to change the decision that was already made. The decision was made beyond time itself, and nothing that happens within time can reach that place or undo what was settled there. You are loved. You have always been loved, and you will always be loved fully, completely, without holding anything back and without any conditions. Think about the father in the well-known parable. He did not love his son less after the son left with his inheritance and wasted it on things that eventually left him broken and full of shame. The inheritance was gone. The money disappeared. The life the son tried to build away from his father's house completely fell apart, until he found himself feeding pigs and wishing he could eat what even the servants in his father's house had. From the son's point of view, everything was finished. He believed love was gone and that the relationship had been destroyed forever by his own choices and actions. His father had trusted him with an inheritance, and he had thrown it all away. In the culture of that time, it was almost as if he had wished his father dead by asking for his inheritance early. What he was really saying was, the future you have planned for me matters less than the money I can receive from you today. He chose the gift instead of the relationship, and then wasted that gift. By every human way of thinking, love should have ended there. By every standard of fairness, justice, and common sense, his father had every reason to reject him. But love did not become weaker because of distance. It did not disappear in shame. It did not vanish along with the money, respect, friendships, or opportunities the son had lost. Love simply waited. Then, when the son finally decided to return home, still practicing the speech he planned to give, the speech where he admitted he was no longer worthy to be called a son and asked only to become a hired servant, the father saw him while he was still far away. The father was not standing by the road waiting to punish him, and he was not waiting with folded arms to announce judgment. He watched the road because that is what love does when someone it loves is far from home. The moment the father recognized his son's figure in the distance, he did not stand still. He ran toward him. I want you to think carefully about that one detail. because it matters. Important to respected men in ancient times did not run. They believed it was beneath their dignity. It was considered improper. Running was something children and servants did, not people who held honor, authority, and respect. The fact that a father with such honor and position ran, lifting his robe and hurrying down the public road to meet the son who had openly shamed him and wasted everything he had been given, was itself a powerful act of love. He was willing to appear foolish. He was willing to set aside his dignity. He was willing to become the subject of people's laughter because seeing his returning child mattered more than protecting his reputation by standing still with pride. That is how I respond when you come back to me. I do not simply feel relieved that you finally returned. I do not feel victorious because my patience was rewarded. I do not greet you with pride or cold approval. I run toward you. I cross the distance that separated us while you were far away. I do not make you travel the whole way back alone. I meet you on the road. I cover the distance myself. I close the gap between us. I reach you before you can finish the speech you have been preparing. I reach you before you can explain why you should only be treated like a servant. I come to you while you are still holding on to the belief that you no longer deserve to be called my child, and I silence that belief with an embrace that makes every argument disappear. The finest robe, the ring on his finger, the shoes on his feet, and the great celebration were never the actions of a father treating someone like a servant who had proven himself unworthy. Every one of those gifts was the full, generous, overflowing act of a father restoring his son to the place that had always belonged to him. His position was not reduced. There was no testing period. His place did not depend on future good behavior. He was welcomed completely as a son, an heir, and a deeply loved child. He was fully restored, as though nothing could remove the place he had always held. This did not mean his leaving was ignored or forgotten. It meant the love that existed before he left was still there after he returned. That love was greater than everything that had happened in between. That is the same love I have for you, and I ask you to receive it today. Do not spend your time trying to understand it. Do not decide whether you deserve it. Do not build careful reasons why you should only accept it with hesitation or fear. Simply open your hands and receive it. Open the part of your heart that has stayed closed for so long. It has remained closed because this kind of love seems too wonderful to believe, and life has taught you to question anything that feels too good to be true. Let this love come in completely. Do not receive it only as beautiful words, but as living truth. Let it reach the place where the lie about your lack of worth has been hiding, and let it replace that lie just as light removes darkness. It does not defeat the lie by arguing with it or fighting against it. It simply fills the place with truth until there is no room left for the lie to remain. Now let me speak to you about forgiveness, because forgiveness is the first doorway to everything else I want to give you. Many people are standing right in front of this door. It is not because they never heard that they were forgiven they have heard it. It is also not because they do not believe forgiveness is real, they believe it in their minds. But they have never stepped through that door to truly experience forgiveness, because doing that means letting go of something they have been holding on to very tightly, the belief that they still deserve to be punished for what they have done. I have not punished them. They understand in their minds that I have forgiven them, yet they continue punishing themselves by choosing to remain in their own prison. It feels right to them. It seems fair. They believe it is the least they can do after everything they have done. But I want to tell you something about this habit of punishing yourself that you may never have understood before. It is not humility. It may feel like humility. It may even look like humility, but it is actually a hidden form of pride. Here is why. When I forgive a debt, that debt is gone. When I declare someone clean, that person is clean. When I erase the record, the record no longer exists. If, after I have done all of that, you still say, "I know you erased the record, but I will keep my own record of my failures and continue punishing myself because of them," then what you are really saying is that your record matters more than mine, that your judgment about what you deserve is greater than my judgment. You are saying that your opinion about your debt should remain beside mine, even though my decision has already canceled yours. That is not humility. It is choosing your own opinion above my declaration. But my declaration is what defines reality. When I say you are forgiven, then you are forgiven. When I say you are clean, then you are clean. When I say the debt has been paid, then it has been paid. You do not need to add your own payment to mine. You do not have to complete my grace by making yourself suffer. My work is finished. My forgiveness is complete. All this constant self-punishment does is keep open a wound that I have already healed. It keeps holding on to a scar that I have already taken care of. It keeps living inside a prison cell whose door I have already unlocked. The door is open, and I am calling you to come out. Step outside. The debt is paid. The record is clear. You are not on probation. You are not waiting for another decision. You have already been fully restored. You are completely loved, and you are completely forgiven. The right response is not to stand forever at the doorway of forgiveness, wondering whether you deserve to enter. The right response is to walk through that door and begin living on the other side of it. Make your choices from the place of forgiveness instead of guilt. Come to me as my deeply loved child, not as someone who believes they must always repay an endless debt. Live your life with the freedom of someone who hath been set free, not with the weariness of someone who still believes they are serving a punishment. Let me speak about what comes after forgiveness, because forgiveness is only the beginning of what I want to give you. Some people understand this, yet they still remain trapped, not so much by guilt but by feelings of being unimportant. They know they have been forgiven, and they are truly thankful for it, but they continue living in a small and careful way, almost as if they are apologizing for existing. It is as though the life of a forgiven person should be lived quietly in the background, never taking up too much space, never asking for much, never expecting too much. Even though the debt has been removed, they still feel it is wrong to desire more, to believe in greater things, or to expect a life filled with blessing. Their gratitude has become a limitation. Forgiven, yet unnoticed. Thankful, yet afraid. Healed, yet still hiding. That is not the life I rescued you for. Forgiveness was never the finish line. It was the doorway. My purpose is a life filled with true blessing, real joy, lasting abundance, deep purpose, loving relationships, and meaningful work. It is a steady confidence in who you are and who you belong to, a confidence that does not fall apart when life becomes difficult. My purpose is for you to live so fully, so deeply rooted, and so clearly marked by my presence that people around you notice something they cannot explain, and that draws them toward the source. That purpose has never been small. It was never meant to be. Receiving forgiveness does not mean accepting a quiet and unnoticed life as if it were a proper punishment. It means receiving your full inheritance, embracing your place as my child, and fully returning to the one who owns everything and has chosen to share it with you. Now let me speak to you about restoration. Restoration is different from forgiveness. Forgiveness deals with your past, with what happened, with what you owed, and with everything that needed to be removed. Restoration deals with your present and your future. It is about what has been broken, what has been lost, and what needs to be rebuilt, returned, and restored so your everyday life reflects the truth of who you are in me. Forgiveness happens in a moment. Restoration is a journey. Right now I am rebuilding you in ways you can already see, and in ways you have not yet noticed, both in the visible parts of your life and in the hidden places, in your daily circumstances and in the deepest parts of your heart, your mind, and your soul. What does restoration look like? It appears differently in every life because every person has different losses and different wounds. For some people, restoration begins with hope returning, with the ability to believe once again that something good can happen after repeated disappointments have destroyed that hope. For others, restoration is about finding their true identity again after years of believing the hurtful words spoken by others or by themselves. For others, restoration means bringing back things that were left behind, broken relationships, forgotten dreams, and gifts that were buried under shame and now need to be uncovered and brought back to life. For you, it may include several of these things at the same time, and I am working on every one of them together. Restoration is not always loud or dramatic. It rarely comes through one unforgettable moment that changes everything at once. Most often it grows quietly, from the inside outward, from the deepest places to the surface. It is seen when you wake up one morning and the weight on your heart feels a little lighter than it did yesterday. It appears in a conversation when something that has been locked away for years finally begins to open. It comes as a gentle thought that unexpectedly enters your mind. Maybe life really can be different. It is the small but honest willingness to hope again after believing hope was gone forever. These are the first signs of the deep work I am doing, work that will eventually become visible in your circumstances, your relationships, your understanding of yourself, and your ability both to receive love and to give it. Even now I am working within you in ways you cannot fully see or measure. The deepest work I do always begins by building the foundation long before it becomes visible. The roots always grow deep before the tree grows tall. The foundation is finished before the building begins to rise. Your healing comes before the outside parts of your life begin to change. This is not a delay. It is simply the way deep and lasting change takes place. I am not making small surface changes and calling it restoration. I am rebuilding your life from the very beginning, and that takes time. But what I am building will remain strong. What is growing inside you through this process will last. Your growth will be genuine, and your healing will be real. This change will not become something that falls apart under pressure. It will become a true transformation that remains firm even when everything around you is shaken. Your pain was not meaningless. Your difficult seasons were not wasted. What hurt you did not destroy you forever. These trials uncovered something valuable within you. Not weakness as you may have believed. They revealed your endurance. They showed the strength that comes, not from living without pain, but from continuing to move forward when giving up would have been much easier. They revealed a faith that bends but never breaks. They revealed a love that kept reaching out to others even after being wounded. They uncovered a steady hope which, in its deepest meaning, is proof of my hand upon your life. It is like a small but determined flame that refuses to go out no matter how hard the wind blows. That is what I placed within you. This is the part of you that reflects my nature. It has remained alive through every hard season, keeping you alive in a way that reaches far beyond physical survival. Your scars are not signs that you failed. They are signs that you endured everything life placed before you and refused to let it completely destroy you. I do not want you to hide those scars. I do not want you to pretend they are not there or act as though your story should be hidden instead of shared. The most painful parts of your story are often the parts that speak most deeply to broken people. The moments you find hardest to talk about are often the moments your honesty can help someone the most. Not because I want your pain to become something for everyone to watch, but because the honesty of someone who has walked through suffering and come out the other side with living faith is one of the greatest strengths in this world. That is the kind of person you are becoming. A person whose story carries weight, whose words can be trusted, and whose presence reflects someone who has walked through the deepest valleys. Now I want to speak about the fear hiding underneath your hope. It is the fear that always appears whenever hope begins to grow. It keeps hope at a distance, making sure it never becomes too big, too clear, or too dependent on a certain outcome. After all, if hope becomes too great and then nothing happens, the pain feels much worse than if you had never hoped at all. This fear did not appear without reason. It grew from real experiences, from hopes that were never fulfilled, from prayers that seemed to go unanswered, and from believing for things that did not happen the way you expected. To protect you, your mind built a system designed to prevent you from feeling that same pain again. That system tells you to keep your hopes small and your expectations low. It tells you to leave enough distance between what you desire and what you allow yourself to believe, so that if nothing changes, your heart will not be broken. I understand why that system exists, but I invite you to let it go. This is not about being careless or forgetting the true lessons your experiences have taught you. It is about realizing that while this system was created to protect you from pain, it has also kept you from receiving the full life I have prepared for you. A heart that stays hidden behind protection cannot fully receive my blessings. Only an open heart can receive them. Not a foolish heart, not one without wisdom, but one that is honestly open. Opening your heart takes courage. The courage to dream again. The courage to hope again. The courage to believe that the God who has remained with you through everything you have faced is also working for you now, preparing things that you cannot yet see. I ask you for that courage, but not all at once. I am not asking you to suddenly tear down every wall you have built around your heart. I'm asking for a beginning. Just a small step. A quiet decision that says, I will let myself hope for this. I will carry this hope without pushing it away right now. I will allow myself to desire it without immediately preparing for the pain of losing it. That small beginning is enough. I can work with that. Start there. Open just a little part of the door and watch what I can do with the space you give me. Now let me speak about your purpose. Your own personal and unrepeatable purpose. About what you were created to do and who you were created to become. No one in all of history has ever been called to live your calling exactly the way you were meant to live it. Every life I create is like a stone dropped into water. The stone never sees the circles spreading across the surface. He only feels the moment it enters the water. But those circles travel much farther than the stone can ever see, farther than it will ever know in this life. Your life has created circles in people you may never even know. The words you spoke, the kindness you gave, your presence, and the courage you showed during difficult times have all touched people who were watching you even when you never realized it. Those circles are still moving outward. Those circles have not become smaller, and they have not lost their strength. The work still ahead of you is no less important than the work already behind you. In fact, it is even greater because the person who will do it has become wiser, stronger, and more prepared than before. The difficult seasons you have walked through have not reduced your influence. They have increased it because true compassion is born from real suffering. The ability to reach hurting people comes from having known pain yourself and learning what truly helps and what does not. The ability to speak with confidence about the faithfulness of the one who carries you through darkness comes from walking through that darkness and being carried safely through it. You are not used up. Your best years are not behind you. You have not reached the end of what you can offer this world. You are moving into a season of greater fruitfulness that requires the depth of character only those difficult years could have formed. I plan to use your life, not in spite of what you have been through, but because of it. The very experiences you find hardest to speak about are often the experiences that give your words the greatest strength in the lives of others. The people who need what you have to offer are not searching for someone who has never struggled. They are looking for someone who has faced hard battles and can honestly speak about how to survive them and what waits on the other side. Now I want to speak about the relationships in your life, because many of the things I want to restore within you will be restored through relationships. That is also where many of your deepest wounds were created. There were people who should have loved you but did not know how. There were people who should have been safe but became a source of pain. There were people who made promises they never kept. There were people who walked away when you needed them to stay the most. Those experiences shaped the way you build relationships today. They caused you to create ways of protecting yourself, being careful, trusting slowly, and holding back a part of your heart so you never fully give yourself because it feels too dangerous. Those ways of protecting yourself made sense. They were normal responses to real pain. But they are not meant to last forever. They are not the final picture of how your relationships will always be. I am slowly healing your ability to trust because true healing does not force open what has been closed. It creates a safe place where what has been shut can slowly open again. I am bringing into your life people who know how to care for what you entrust to them. I am also growing wisdom within you so you can recognize those who are safe to open your heart to and those who are not. I am not asking you to throw away the wisdom your experiences have given you. I am asking you to let that wisdom remain wisdom instead of becoming a prison. Wisdom says be careful who you trust. It does not say, never trust anyone again. Learn to trust again with care, at a pace that truly feels safe, not at a pace controlled only by fear. Then watch what I do through the relationships I place before you when you begin to open your heart. I have not finished writing your story of love. The relationships still waiting for you will surprise you by their depth, their peace, and the way they make you feel truly understood and deeply valued. You will not need to pretend or become someone you think is easier to accept. There are people in your future who will know the real you, including the complicated, imperfect, and still growing parts of your life, and they will choose to love you. Not despite those things, but because they are part of who you are. Every part of you is worthy of love, even the places that are still healing. Those relationships are real. They are waiting in your future, and I am preparing both you and them until the right time comes. Before I finish, I want to tell you one more thing. I see your tiredness. Not only your spiritual weariness, but also the physical and emotional exhaustion that comes from carrying too much for too long without knowing if any of it will truly make a difference. It is the kind of tiredness that one good night's sleep cannot remove.